See, it even says mayor here. See?
You're good. That's good.
Now,
So you gotta leave the
Chair,
green
I
light
should
on.
say chair.
Okay, we are now recording. I'm not sure how these things go.
I think he has AV or something. We probably don't need him.
Yeah, okay. All right, we're good then.
the meeting for the Finance and Human Resources Committee is called to order on Wednesday, September 8th, 2021 at 6:03 PM. Would you call the roll, please?
Alderperson Kastner?
Present.
Alderperson Sarian?
Present.
Alderperson Bailey's excused.
Thank you. Item 2, approval of the July 14th, 2021 Finance and Human Resources Committee meeting minutes.
Motion for approval.
Second. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 3, discussion and decision regarding revising the emergency service dispatcher job description.
So Chief Johnson's not here tonight. All of the job descriptions are going to be revised with the new it's called NeoGov, the new software package. This is just that. It's ministerial changes. It's nothing significant.
I was just wondering, I looked it over. It looked like they submitted the old and the new and the old. I didn't really go over it, but I was going to ask what changes there were, but if they're just,
According to my conversation with Julie today about the changes, nothing substantive. It's
Okay.
all to match the new NeoGov software package, is what she told me. Does that make sense to you?
okay.
So the format, more like where the
It's more-
paragraphs
it's
are?
It's
and
mostly
where they-
format and to make sure that all of the little
You use numbers all the
disclaimers and
same?
boxes and all the stuff that you need to have when you have a continuous enrollment, not enrollment, recruitment, those kinds of things. Honestly, that's it. You can.
I assume so, otherwise it'd be a bigger deal. Did we make a
Yeah,
motion?
I mean, so what you're going to find in the next,
Oh, we
as the
did.
Finance and Human Resources meetings that keep coming up, there will be job descriptions as she rewrites them that'll constantly be coming before us. If there were any substantive changes, we'd let you know.
Is-
And I'm guessing the chief would be here and Julie would be here to discuss.
To some degree,
Okay.
we wouldn't even need to approve these formally at the council, but it's probably a good idea.
You have, so there are some things that you always have to approve. You always have to approve, in the budget, the org chart and the funding.
I guess,
You
yeah.
always have to approve the job description. You always have to approve the pay range, right? You always have to do that.
But it's just the same, so it's just a matter of format.
You would think that.
Motion to approve.
Yeah, you would think this non-substantive changes wouldn't require council approval, but it's in everyone's best interest to approve them.
Okay, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 4, discussion and decision regarding contract allowing for the continuation of the stock box program. Mr. Jaquish.
Is this different than last year?
It's exactly.
Just except for the year?
Yep.
The year, and we're going to continue as a drive-through over by the community center. Rather than
Perfect.
using pickup the way we've done pre-pandemic.
So it's an incredibly popular program, in concert with the Hunger Task Force, right?
Yes, Hunger Task Force.
So,
I
I
think it's-
strongly recommend reapproval of, this has been going, how long is this? 15, 10, 12?
I'd say 10 to 14 years.
Something
in
like
that
that.
range. Yeah,
It's a great program.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 5, discussion and decision regarding alderperson monthly compensation and allowances.
So you've received the comparison of some of the communities that are nearby. It's not all-inclusive, and it doesn't include the whole state. Alderperson Bailey wanted to discuss it, I think, a little bit, too. He's not here tonight. He's up north fishing, I think, or
Golfing.
golfing, or I shouldn't even say that.
Could be both. Working hard
Alderperson Bailey couldn't be here tonight due to a previous vacation commitment.
schedule.
So,
I think we still need to be competitive. If not competitive, we have to market ourselves that people are encouraged to take this job because we seem to have a slew of unopposed Not that we're not doing a great job, all of us, but I would like to see more.
It's certainly, so this is, I tell everybody this, right? So you're the board of, alderpersons are the board of directors of a major municipal corporation with a total budget of what, Paula?
30,
30-something million, right? Right? That's not pocket change.
No.
So, you want to encourage people, in this increasingly busy world where people don't seem to have time for anything, to apply. It means they have to run, it means they have to do this, but, I mean, and it's not, we're not alone. I mean, if you look at some of the other school board races, unless it's a one-issue COVID mask thing or something, but in the other communities, there doesn't seem to be a lot of desire to do this, and you can't blame them sometimes, right? If you're not filled with altruism and I just want to make the world a better place kind of feeling, not that there's anything wrong with just doing that, but it's good to have
quality people come to the
that want to
table.
run for this position, because it is really a big deal to do what you guys do. You do it very well, and I hope you all get reelected again. And I know that none of us, that's me included,
Well,
would like to have people run against us, but it keeps things fresh, it keeps everybody honest, it does all the things that democracy is supposed to do.
At the last council meeting, I was missing because I was at a good friend of mine's that is approximately the same age as me because he died. So anything can happen.
Right, that's true. I mean, I worry about that, if I
Yeah.
die, I mean, it's, we talk about redundancy, right? We're trying to create redundancy in every department, right? To the extent, it's all fragile, budgets, Paula sent me the depressing email, Tim followed it up with the detail. It's getting more and more difficult, right? And while people are all in favor of, term limits and, should always change and, right, the stability and the institutional knowledge and all that stuff is incredibly important because nothing happens overnight. Everything takes time, usually a lot of time. And if you want to do something progressive, not in the Democrat, Republican sense, but you want to do something different in your city, right? You want to create a skateboard park or a major development or whatever, to right the ship in the right direction and to get all that stuff done isn't going to be done by somebody who's in office for 2 years, right?
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just, so, I think we have a hard time, society, and this is my social commentary as I get older, and it's like I can almost say what I want now. I don't mean, sometimes we're like penny pinching, dollar foolish people as a country, right? It's like, oh, that person that's going to make that huge decision that's going to change my life and my family's life for the, foreseeable future, they should only make, like 15 grand a year or something and should be encouraged to get campaign contributions from people that aren't going to be acting in my interest, right? I mean, what are we doing, right? Just saying. I'll just say, too, that we try to run this enterprise, this corporation, as a business. We're not here to make money necessarily, but we're certainly not here to lose money. Every decision we make is designed to have a good, positive return on investment for our taxpayers, right? Our constituents, and to make the city a better place, because they pay a lot of money to be in Milwaukee County, right? 25% probably more than they do in adjacent communities, although their water and sewer bills are higher in those places.
Garbage, too.
And garbage, yeah. There's some communities that are having some real struggles with garbage right now. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't.
Like in New Berlin, they're not picking it up. They're just.
I have seen that.
Right? Yeah, no, and there's other communities that are having the same issues. So we're really blessed that we have a great staff, sound financial people that depress the crap out of me every day. It's mostly him. Paul is just like, well, we don't have that. And Tim's like, yeah. So I think we need to make sure that the position remains competitive.
We've got months, but sometime in December, I think.
I agree. I agree. I
But
just,
we can't do it before, whatever. And I wouldn't be opposed to stagger it in with the new,
yeah, so I,
whatever it takes. Because obviously, we're not all up for election.
so the big difference now is common council presidents, and it seems, and I'm not trying to open up all sorts of things, right? But it's like, if they are truly going to be rotated on an annual basis, right? And right?
Now you piss somebody else off.
Maybe they aren't, I don't know what's gonna happen, but,
Wait a
but
minute
does
now,
it?
where did you hear that?
I assumed it, but I don't know that. If they're gonna change it, I don't know.
It was a
I don't know
quid
what,
pro quo.
so the council's never created a policy with regard to that, other than, if there's gonna be a rotation, or if it's just gonna be everybody's gonna kinda do it, or something, or whatever it's going to be, fluctuating salaries up and down, right? Council president gets paid more than everybody else,
They still do.
whether or
West
not.
Dallas goes up every year, is theirs.
Yeah, so we should just, right, we need to balance that out somehow, and I don't wanna, trust me, I don't wanna get involved in any of that talk if I don't have to. But it makes sense to kind of, there's never been a policy about how that works, other than, well, you just vote on it, right? I mean, there's been the pattern and practice, there's been the this, and there's been the that, there's been all sorts of things, right?
Basically ignored it.
So, probably, maybe formalize that process, or if there is a form, or if it's just willy-nilly, it's gonna change the next time, and it's gonna be voted, it could be somebody new, or it could be the same person. I don't care either way, but it needs to be, every April we pick it, or after every election we pick it, and this is what, or if it's gonna be do you change every year, right?
I don't know where you're going with that, Mike.
But that's part of the compensation part of it.
That is.
So
and
do
that's
we
kind
need
of-
more information before we
We could,
go on, or?
Could
you had-
formalize an idea, but what idea that is, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I think everyone's gotta say what they think maybe it should look like, right? And I don't know if that's like even a legislative committee. I mean, I hate to dump things on legislative, but it's, what ordinances there are with regard to elected officials and stuff, sort of start at the legislative committee, and maybe that's the place to.
I kind of miss Tom for that. Everything went back to legislative. when
It
he was
did,
here.
it did, there were
That was him.
I thought dozens of items on agenda.
He was right.
Yeah, so that's where, that is. Maybe that makes more sense as opposed to here, and, until you decide what the rules are and what they should be, and
If we're gonna do anything, it has to be done before December.
I would think you'd probably wanna do something.
So that means we have to start now.
So it's
if we
probably-
want-
I think
So,
you
I was thinking of maybe like an annual increase.
Like West Dallas.
Could do that. You gotta do something.
I mean, it makes sense,
Then we don't have to
doesn't it?
address it every year.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the issues though too is that, and I don't know how state law looks at this, but you can't lower you can't lower an elected official's salary while they're in office, but I'm not sure you can raise it either. I don't know.
You can't raise while, like, if I decide something, if I vote on something, I can't have that happen to me during my term, right? I have to wait till my next,
So,
I'm newly elected.
so the legal opinion, I mean, this is based on the previous city attorney, because I'm not sure the current ones looked at it in great detail. Reimbursements and all those kinds of things, like gas and mileage and computer stuff, that can be changed, right?
That was my
But the
assumption
salary,
too,
and but the salary and
that
the other
hasn't been
stuff
agreed to.
can't be.
Right.
So maybe you have an increase to those things annually, if that's what you wanted to do, or something. So just one of the things for, like, cable TV, right? I mean, just to have internet, you guys are all supposed to have internet at home, whether high-speed internet, right? Because you got all this stuff. It's $100 a month now. They do the $49 special, and then by the time you get to it, it's $112 a
Been
month.
having luck with mine. Shh.
But it's $112. But it's $112 a month, right?
Yeah.
And you guys all have to be, we haven't given you city phones or anything. You have your own phones. I know I call and text and email you all the time, right? You have to have that. You have to be, you'll recall recently we went through some stuff, and I called, right? and it was very early in the morning, you have to have that.
You went like 7 days once without calling me.
Yeah. I can call you every day if you want.
I don't-
It's just,
I'm
but,
available.
no. Yeah, so, sometimes it's at 2 or 3 in the morning, right? Let's hope
2 or
that
3 in
there,
the morning.
let's hope there's not too many of those. It's important that we look at that. It's important that, at least that cost of doing business is paid back. I mean, that's not something you guys should eat, right? So, and that stuff's not getting cheaper.
Yeah, it's not like an auto show where you have a sponsor.
All right. So that's all I got. All I can say, though, is the car show is September 11th, this weekend. And we have almost 100 registrations, almost.
Actually, a little more.
Which is crazy, because we've never had that many
Double what we had last year. which was
pre-registered.
before.
Park the cars close.
We have a little more space to use too.
Yeah, so, I'm excited about that. T-shirt looks great, just saw it.
Where are we?
Sorry.
Item 6 or?
Yeah, so maybe, you want to send that to legislative, or do you want to keep it here, or what do you want to do?
Oh, boy.
Are you in legislative?
Yeah.
When the
Waste
allowances
of
were
time. I mean, if we,
They didn't go to
Let's just-
legislative last time.
I don't care either way.
something. Or I guess we can come up with something, but.
Yeah. We'll talk about, we'll coordinate it with Julie or
Yeah,
with
maybe
Brian
just
or somebody.
throw a number out
Okay.
there and see if we can incorporate it for next year.
Makes sense.
As long as we're talking the budget.
Yeah, so just so you know that,
What is it, if it's $1,000 times 5, 6?
I don't need anything, so I'm good. I mean, I don't know. The only thing I won't, is like the technology allowance before. The only thing that we made that minor change. So that was, the technology allowance was only for bills, like cell phone bills or something, right? And,
No, you get it taxed free if you submitted the
well, I
bills.
needed to I bought an iPad Pro, right? Because I always do these presentations with people and stuff, and after I bought it for $1,100, she told me that it didn't count, so appreciated that, just so you know.
You run it by both of them?
She wasn't here yet, yeah.
Oh.
So you guys changed it like a year or two ago, I think, so. The technology is important for me out
It-
there. I use it all the time, so,
We don't sit in an office anymore and people don't expect us to.
right.
And I don't have an office, so.
It's- And you still run your business, right?
I do.
Without an office?
Actually, my office is pretty darn nice right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have enough space.
okay, all right. All right, can we just do you guys want to do all 4 of the next items together,
Sure.
since we've been jabbering?
Okay.
Just a question, do you want item 5 put on the next agenda also?
She's going that way. I don't care either way.
And maybe by that
Yeah,
time
you
have
can. Just-
some options?
Just maybe just
Yeah.
keep it running
Okay.
for now.
Legislative might not meet before December either.
It has to, there's like 2 or 3 things that are
Is there?
supposed to be coming, right?
Well,
That we've been talking
I
about.
would think, yeah, there was something, at least one thing, but
You're
it
not the
never
chair
seems
there, are
to
you?
happen. I don't know. So, I,
Porches was one of the things, but then there are 2 other things that were supposed to go there.
Did we send the porches back to legislative?
I think we held it for now, I don't know if we did. I don't remember, I'll have to look. I don't remember. Oh, there was something else.
there was something else.
Who does that? Oversees it? Julie?
Legislative, the
No.
clerk's office, I think.
Clerks?
The attorney, city
Well-
attorney.
The city attorney is.
Oh, he sits on
just-
it.
Oh,
He's like me there, so there's, I think Alderperson Bailey's the chair.
when
Sarian
I was chair,
Who took the
14
minutes?
years ago, it was
The clerk's
the
office.
Clerks.
clerk's office.
They still do.
So they would know the agenda coming up.
They are the ones, I think, that create the agenda. I think. It hasn't met much. Probably.
But I think we were supposed to meet at the end of
We were,
September.
I thought so.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, end of
And there's
September.
at least
So-
2 or 3 items that are supposed to be on it.
So,
So, I don't know.
I'm just saying, I think it would be better if we came up with something here.
You could
Send it
argue
to
3 could have gone there too.
We'll look at it in greater depth. We'll come up with some solution. I think I know where everybody wants to kind of go, so. Right?
Okay. Item 6, approval of mileage reimbursements in the amount of $237.14. Item 7, investments and reinvestments for July 2021. Item 8, approval of schedules of disbursements in the amount of $11,021,790.95. Item 9, accept July 2021 financial statements.
Just one quick thing. So why were disbursements so great this month?
Tax bills?
We had the tax settlement with the other municipalities or taxing jurisdictions, and we had the MRO payments that went out for TID 2 and TID 6.
Oh,
And then I know there were a few construction invoices that ran around 100,000 each also.
So it's not, we don't spend $11 million a month usually.
it's mostly the
That's-
tax
yeah.
reimbursements. I saw one of them. It's,
They're
Big
substantial,
chunk.
they're substantial, right?
yeah.
And those are all on the up and up.
Motion to approve items all as presented.
Trust.
Hmm?
We have to trust you guys, you know.
Well, not with $11 million, I ain't trusting anybody, just so you know.
Well,
It's like-
you are.
$11 million is a lot of
You
money.
are.
We're
We
not-
can't
You're
even-
checking, but,
We're,
but when,
no.
We used to
So-
make a fortune on that money too, for the month that we held it.
I know, that's good money,
That was back in the day,
back in the day.
20 years
Now
ago.
it's about $40 or something, if that.
I did make
Did
a
you make a
motion to
motion?
approve all.
Second.
as approved.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item 10, other topics for future agendas.
I think it's just
Are
one.
you gonna
Besides-
blush the,
So the budget's coming, the budget is coming, and the budget is not pleasant. Before the meeting, so, and I just, so the minutes reflect this, because I think it's important that this is in the minutes. Historically, and I think I mentioned this previously, in 2011, it was, you could raise the levy, there are levy limits in the state of Wisconsin. In 2011, it was 2% or net new construction, right? Generally speaking. It costs about 2% just to kind of, because things get expensive, more expensive every year. And then just the sub note on that is everybody says, well, at home, when we don't have enough money, we just turn off the power, or we don't, we get rid of cable, or we do this, or we do that. The problem with our budget is that most of our budget is things that are required by law or provide public service and safety to us. Police and fire especially are the biggest outlays in our budget. There are other things that are critical, like Tim and Paula, to make sure that, kind of kidding around about $11 million, right? They're there to make sure that that $11 million is safe. That's a lot of money. The clerk's office is responsible for 4 elections next year, right? This is all stuff,
as we have 4?
I think that's, yeah. And each one of those elections is between $20,000 and $40,000, right?
And we're mailing everything out.
Hey, it's so like all that stuff, right? So it's not like you can just say, well, we'll just won't do that, right? Because you have to do that. So in 2011, the law changed, so it's like the 2% doesn't count anymore. It's only net new construction. The last 10 years, although there were a couple of down years, it averaged about 2%, so we were okay. This year, the new law is it's just net new construction, right? Since 2011, the net new construction is 0.83, 84, 85%, something like that. That ain't enough. In Hales Corners, because I'm like, holy cow, so what's going on over there and what's happening in Greendale, right? Hales Corners can raise its levy, its taxes $68,000. That's a lot of, if you lived in a house and you had $68,000, that's monthly income or yearly income for people, I get that. But for an enterprise, a large enterprise, that's nothing. Ours is what, 300,000?
For net new construction, 95,000.
95? So, that's bad.
They're not even taking into account inflation this year because it's going to go through the roof.
Well, the other part of it is that there's this thing called the ERP program, Expenditure Restraint Program, which allows us, which actually recognizes that things get more expensive, right?
But
And it allows you to raise your expenditures annually, right? But the levy limit prevents you from raising the taxes to pay for it, which is ridiculous. So
it wasn't bad when there was no inflation.
it wasn't bad when there was,
Very
it
little.
wasn't, so we run a very tight ship, and I'm not just saying that to pat ourselves on the back, we run a very tight ship, right? We do. And it's not bad when you can raise things 2%, right? Because 2% will cover at least health insurance and will cover at least salaries, generally speaking, maybe nothing else, but all the other efficiencies that we sort of strive for pay for the other things that we want to do, right? And for capital equipment and all this, right? But those days of like kind of pulling rabbits out of our hat at net new construction at 0.85% isn't gonna help sustain things.
You said it twice, and I think it needs to be clarified that our health insurance, or you alluded to, our health insurance costs only go up 2%. They go up
Our
more
health
than
insurance
that,
went up
but-
5%,
But
but
the fact that a bigger number helps carry that amount.
it's health insurance, yeah, I mean,
So our health insurance goes up more than 2% every year.
it goes
So we're
up more
going
than.
backwards even if you count that
Yeah,
way.
I mean, if you just,
We're stealing from something to pay for the health insurance.
kind of, generally, yes. This year is a good, so since I've been mayor, even though there was one year where it was 9.9%, we've had.
Started higher.
We had single-digit increases for health insurance, and for 15 or 16 years, that's almost unheard of, right? And that's because we actively manage it, and we make sure we have good people, right? Most other communities haven't had it like that. But even doing that, I don't know, it's getting more and more difficult to pull rabbits out of the hat. The levy limit, and the legislature is the only one that can change it, and they don't want to touch it because I don't know if it's a political hot potato or there's winners and losers, or they'd have to relook at the formula, they'd have to do something, and
Maybe work.
I don't. It's like, generally speaking, Democrats want to just like, oh, don't even have them, right? That's a bad idea, right? It's a bad idea not to have some controls. Otherwise, it's just, I'm a taxpayer, right? It's like, otherwise you just start giving stuff away, right? And that's sort of what happened in the 60s and 70s. If you look in California, that's what's happening, right? The state pays the municipalities a whole bunch of money, right? And you find that the cities and municipalities have really, really expensive employees and really, really good benefits, and right? So not having some kind of limitation is a good thing, but the other Republican side of it, it's like all taxes are bad and they should just need to button up their, tighten their purse strings. We are doing that, and we don't get the credit for it. We have good legislators, and this isn't a criticism of any of them specifically. But gosh darn it, so I'm going to reach out to some of our neighbors, and I'm going to just do some serious griping. And I hope it works, right? But it's not going to work because they're not going to change the law in time.
No.
And we're going to be in a position where, I got $100,000 of new money and $3 or $4 or $5 or $6 or $7 or $800,000 of expenses. And those expenses include capital equipment, which include guns for the police department, Kevlar vests for the police department, squad cars for the police department, stuff for the fire department, right, and EMS. Doesn't even take into account the stuff that helps at DPW, right, or elsewhere. Doesn't take into account any of that. at all. So that's a challenge. This is, there's an article, I'll just say this, in Urban Milwaukee about Republicans defunding police departments, right? And while, the media would suggest that there are some liberals that want to defund police departments, the reality is Republican policies are doing the exact same thing. Because police departments are the biggest portion of our budget, aren't they? $9 million, something. Half the budget. A little less than half the budget is police department.
That'd be a third.
No, well, it's still levy is 4 million, something like that. Police department budget, not including capital, is 9 something, I think.
Still gonna use a 30.
So the 30, well, I'm talking levy, well, I'm not gonna get, but not billboard revenue and all that other stuff.
Yes, I
But you know what I'm
understand
saying,
that.
right? I know you do, so, but, and I've just been texted, somebody's living in a burned out house while I'm sitting here, so. So we gotta go find out what that's about.
I got a call from somebody today about that old, almost burned down building on
Beloit.
100 and Beloit and Cold Spring,
China.
which is a huge problem, and I don't want to reemphasize that, but we should look at
Raising it.
raising it again. I know we gave them until they could sell it, and that was a year ago, so we
That was
should
more than they
reconsider.
had. That's been years and years and years
Yeah.
we've given them that opportunity. The reality is, it's never gonna get redeveloped. and
It can't because
be. There's no parking.
it's over the property line, quite honestly.
There's
onto
a
the
whole bunch of
county.
problems with that property, right?
Yeah, so
Which is why it's abandoned and falling apart.
anyhow,
Okay, all right, thank you, I'm sorry.
Item 11,
motion to adjourn.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
6:35, at 6:35.
Meeting is adjourned at